All right, sounds like a plan. So, first and foremost, again, many thanks to everybody making it for the session, and hopefully you all are as enjoyed and entertained as I am. This is officially, for the record, for the win, the heavyweight championship belt in the shadow of the White City. This particular episode is episode 5, People Will Accuse. When we last left our troupe, they had vanquished I
think it was called the Sickness.
Yes, Cygnus, the necromancer, Hungun, the reigning most powerful member of a particular clan of kindred in the Dolton area. One of the many things that did not quite make it to prime time for us was the fact that this particular clan of kindred are responsible for the myriad churches throughout the city. As you at the village, as you all look at the map, you'll notice that roughly every quarter mile there is either 2 or 3 churches. They are of varying denominations and various faiths, but if you notice, Dolton has a significantly high per capita number of churches, number of temples, number of synagogues. It is, if you were to judge it by number of churches, one of the holiest places in the Midwest. That is not entirely true, but it definitely does have the same dress code as someone who was. So in the defeat of Cygnus, there is a rampant number of kindred who are experiencing depression. They have lost, in a matter of a few weeks, both the Hungun and Mambo to their faith. Their Mambo being, of course, Olamide, who was the reigning leader in the area for their faith and for their blood. Both Cygnus and Olamide are now in the land of the dead. So there are quite a few kindred who have been affected by their loss, their spiritual guidance, be it for good or for ill. Also, in that same period of time, weeks since, there's been several forays of kindred from Riverdale who have very loudly stated the fact that if Dolton no longer has the protection and backing of the Ivory Tower, it is a territory and area to be forced into submission. After all, it's an open land, it's independent territory. There are no treaties, no pacts, nor any military might that will come in, swoop in, and stop anyone. So it is literally the strongest that will survive. This has not, of course, gone over well, but the Dom of Dolton and the Senate of Dolton are particularly adept at keeping things quiet, or as quiet as they can. With the advent of searchlight, flashlight, and sash operating in the area, it makes things precipitously more difficult. So feelers have been placed, calls have been made. People are attempting to ally with the right side, i.e. who the victors should be. So in this week, and over the course of the last several days since the death of Cygnus, where does that find our troupe? What have they managed to accomplish with the truce and destruction of having dealt with sickness. Abner, over the last week, what have you sought to accomplish?
I've been looking more into bits and pieces around the area. Been attempting to identify how the Kindred are taking the news of the Camarilla withdrawing support and everything. See which ones are going to be the biggest power players and all that. Had to kidnap another one of those little bastards to keep myself fed, because my luck. Speaking of the devil, was I able to actually get a hold of something?
Let's see what the gods have aligned for you. Would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus occult for me, please?
Of course, it's the one I'm not good at. And my hunger will not show up for a split second. Give me 1 second while I get that loaded up.
Okay.
Turn the sound off there. There. Okay. I apologize for the unprofessionalism. I am currently trying to... There it is.
No need to apologize. You're fine.
1.
Okay. Well, over the course of the week, while having hunted very carefully, quietly, attempting to ensure that you are not found out, that you are not hung out to dry, that you don't tackle more than you can handle. In the doing, unfortunately for you, you are successful in finding someone, but not without having, unfortunately, run afoul of Mr. Dwayne Mitchell, a kindred of note who runs a tow truck agency on the northeastern side of the village. He also is an advisor to Jennifer, and unfortunately, the area, the swatch of land that he takes stewardship over, is the hunting down of kindred who have broken or otherwise sundered the peace. Your exchange with Mr. Mitchell goes as follows. Having stalked and found a potential victim, the hunger not quite pressing on you, but you know that it will come, and it is better to be managed than for it to be let loose, unvarnished on the world. You don't want to become the very monsters that you are attempting to mitigate. Mr. Mitchell, however, is of a mind to live and let live. So while he will not pursue any actions against you, his advice is, look, we all gotta eat. Just clean up your messes and make sure you pick the right target.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't quite call you by name, but you can tell that some epithet is near to his lips, and it doesn't seem like an insult. As you make your way further into the night, finding a target more opportune. Now, besides picking at the edges of things and trying to find a thread to pull and settle your hunger, are there any other goals that Abner is seeking to try to accomplish over the course of the week?
Like I said, attempt to identify the big name players at the moment. Figure out who's, at this moment, reacting the most poorly to the Camarilla's whole retraction thing.
Oh, that's very, very easy. The largest proponent of kindred or problematic are not those who actually reside in Dolton. In fact, you guys have had a strange number of influx from those in Riverdale and Gary. So it's typically, from what you've noticed over the last week, those visitors, those outliers who are seeking to obtain purchase within the city. Several of the gangs have been upended. There's been an outright shootout. Of course, it's happened during the day, so you can't directly blame the kindred, but you are sure that it's because those kindred are connected with other less than legal entities, and their followers, their camp followers or hangers-on, are conducting larger and larger forays into the city. The southeastern side nearest Gary has been rife with additional streetwalkers and additional gang members, more cars, more people, more problems.
That's annoying. Well, in that case, I'll attempt to find one of my allies and see what they need help with.
Okay. Sliding right down alphabetically. David, over the course of the week, with everything that has been discussed and that you are aware of, the rampant depression that's falling over several members of the city, the influx of new, less than positive blood at times, and the fact that you have come face to face with evil, because that's unfortunately, as much as you try to shake off the burgeoning religious spirituality of your youth, knowing what you are, there's still just something very, very wrong about the idea of pulling souls into dead bodies that has your skin crawling on several levels. So with all of that floating in the air, what would David seek to accomplish over the course of the week?
After working with Mr. Nash and doing whatever unsavory work he requires of me, I'm gonna put any extra income I'm getting from that into making a good bug out vehicle to replace my truck, starting with an old SUV, blowing out the windows, paying for more reinforcements, the anti-bullet and Molotov kind.
Okay. That is understandable, having come face to face with the things that you have. It's not any stretch of the imagination and not overly beating a dead horse, but in doing so and looking for those materials and seeking that information and rebuilding your vehicle to be survivable for harsh climes, you find yourself on the northeastern side of the city, often visiting the junkyard that surrounds the tow truck service of a Mr. Dwayne Mitchell. You met him once with Idsock in tow and know that he deals in, he frequents the Blood Czar's services of the city. You realize that several of your deliveries over the past year have been to Mr. Mitchell, and while he doesn't typically frequently use, he has used often enough that you do recognize he uses blood dealers to obtain his much needed blood for the evenings. He is also a great source and repository for mechanical, automotive needs.
That fits perfectly because I'm terrible with my hands, no mechanical ability. I need to get a bug out vehicle, take me and maybe the coterie out of here if necessary.
Okay, I don't have David's character sheet open. What's his average resources?
I didn't put anything to resources.
Okay.
Havens.
Do you have the destitute flaw?
No, he's not destitute. No one had actually chosen destitute. I do remember that. That is very helpful because that means that you are literally working hand to mouth your jobs for the various people and kindred who know that you are pretty much the Pony Express of Dolton and Riverdale, Gary, and the other south suburbs is key to you obtaining the necessary funds to build your vehicle. So you are spending half your nights making runs, being the wingman or shotgun or the driver for various deliveries all throughout the south suburbs, as well as the other half of the evening working diligently to obtain the pieces, parts, and vehicle you need to arrange and escape from the incoming flood, the deluge of kindred, the oncoming onset of God knows how much badness heading toward the south suburbs and seemingly centered on Dolton. Word is beginning to spread that Dolton has turned their back on the tower, that Dolton has escaped the grip of Chicago, and that, unfortunately, is beginning to paint a target on the village. So while you tend to that, sliding right along, Dami, over the course of the week, what are 3 goals or a major important goal mid-range that Dami is seeking to obtain and to complete?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. First, find out more about the entity that she felt. Second, make sure that try to find out more information about that group of randos that I ran into at Signal. And 3, try to find out more about the spell that Cygnus was trying to cast.
Okay. The ritual that Cygnus was attempting to use that you all interrupted will require you to go ahead and roll wits and occult plus oblivion. And while you cipher through various apocryphal text and frequent Olamide's home using the spare key that you have access to and attempting to, despite your broken ties to your family, not your blood family, your kindred family, you search and prowl the very edges of the family. You are treated... Saying that you would be treated worse than an outsider is not quite fair, but it is accurate in terms of them keeping their distance and all but shunning you. One of the things that set your eye teeth on edge when you first began to question was their tendency to shun. It's very much like the Pennsylvania Dutch and very much like the Jehovah's Witness, where shunning is the punishment to stop from having severe punishment by excommunicating and various other steps. And it had your mind reeling and rocking with the idea that this very much is at its base not just a religion, not spirituality, but too cult-like for your taste. Being a man of silence, being a man of violence, understanding the base 1+1 binary aspect of things. Their adherence, their oftentimes blind faith in the way that things are or should be, made your mind itch. It made you question not less, but more. Your result of your roll is...
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to interact, but not in such a way when I see that they're really trying to not interact with me. I'll just kind of continue on, still being polite, but just kind of moving along.
Yeah, it's difficult socially, which is part of the punishment of being shunned, but it's also difficult for you as a man who attacks things and all at once situation where you try to perceive the whole of a thing, its size, its weight, its depth, them insisting that there's a path towards enlightenment instead of you being able to understand that, yeah, there are other letters between A and Z, but the only thing you care about is A and Z. Why should you have to go through B, C, and all of the rest to get there? You know where it's at, or have ideas to where it's at, so there should be an easier path or a less problematic path, a path that has fewer steps of indoctrination to get there. And they are solely about the indoctrination. There's a way that things are done because this is the way that they work, versus figuring out all the steps and seeing whether they actually work or not. The other aspect of trying to find your previous quarries is considerably easier. Most of your details that you pick up along the way point you towards the sewer rats. They point you towards Geneva and her ilk. And you've heard and know who Geneva is. You very rarely hear Geneva being assigned a gender. A lot of people do make that mistake, but for the most part, when you're dealing with Olamide and how Olamide will respond and speak of Geneva, they always spoke of Geneva as they. They always spoke of Geneva with an absence of gender. Interesting thing. This is one of the first few times you've heard of Geneva being not only gendered, but being pointed as one of the sewer rats. One would not expect as much looking upon them. But then again, is what you see the accurate truth of their existence? So while you're beating the bushes, as it were, Everett, my dear friend, my wizard of our group, the seeker of unknown knowledge, and comforter of nightmares, what 3 goals have you sought in the week since, knowing all of everything that's just been mentioned, the societal depression, the influx of new blood, the coming storm that will most assuredly erupt if, according to Abner, the SI are as active in the area as you witnessed just last week?
Here's a list of what he wants to do. The first thing on his list is probably one of the most important things, because he doesn't know what the hell happened at Cygnus area, is he wanted to figure out what he was trying to do. He wants to figure out why the hell would he try to bring back some type of, seems like a body, seems like something. I'm going to try to look into that.
Okay. And would it take precedence over the ritual, or would it be running concurrently?
It will. In order for it to work, he needs something to make it work, and the only person that he knows that has that thing would probably be Abno. So if he can go and see Abno, which is what he also wants to do, is to make sure all of his coterie members are okay, and to talk things out in a sense of what to do next. He'll probably want to ask Abno a question and to see if he'll lend him a stake for a minute or two. So, it's not too too important until I see Abno.
Okay. So, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus occult minus 1 die. in the course of your seeking understanding, in the course of your investigation into the very niche, darker art that Cygnus was attempting to utilize, you run afoul of Mr. Osei. Dolton is home to several hundred different churches and synagogues, many of them doubling as temples for various other less than Christian faiths. In one such church as this, while seeking that knowledge, you run into Mr. Osei, who is having a relatively cold yet friendly conversation with the deacon.
I'll wait until they finish the conversation, but I'll let Osei know I'm there.
Conversation unfortunately ends a little too quickly for what would be considered comfortable or personable, anything along the lines of any semblance of warmth. There is an immediate, brother, I would help you if I could, but unfortunately, being you will refuse to attend and attain the attendance, there's very little I can do. I can't even ask, especially if they know it's for you.
I definitely understand. And I turn and see Everett and kind of nod to him as I start walking towards the exit.
Hey, Dami, how's the leg?
My sound just went out. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Ah, there we go. Perfect.
He missed the burn, and that saddens me.
Yeah, sorry. So, Dom comes, I guess, towards me, and I'll ask him, hey, Dom, how's the leg?
It's been better. It's been better. How's the stomach?
A little blood heals all things. But, I just had a few questions. I just can't really wrap my head around what... do you want to come take a walk with me, Dom?
Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, where would I take Dommy? Do you have a specific place you want to go, Dom?
Outback sounds nice.
Well, if you're wondering what side of town you guys are on, roughly at this moment you'd be at the United Fellowship Church right there on 147th place, just off of Markham. So, to give you an idea as to what the area would look like not far from you, there are several restaurants up off of Sibley Boulevard, i.e. I-83. Several taco joints, several Christian reading rooms, liquor stores, and the like. So it depends on you. Where would you like to head?
Would there happen to be like some type of coffee shop that might be open late at night for, I don't know, college students?
Close at hand? No, but there is a United Evangelistic Consulting Association. It, unfortunately, despite its lovely title and its community outreach, is not the soup kitchen one would expect, nor is it offering any information in regards to taxes. It, in fact, is actually a weapons dealer which fronts behind a Christian reading room.
Quick question to the storyteller. Do they hate me as my flaw?
No, specifically not hate anyone directly. But there's no reason for them to actually know you all, because they aren't specifically a kindred-based business.
I kind of turn to Dami. I'm like, you want to go to a local soup kitchen? I mean, it's not much, but I mean, it's quiet and no one bothers anybody.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, and I guess we head over there. I don't say anything because I mean we're really close to a group of people that might, eavesdrop. So I won't say anything until we reach the building.
Okay. So, literally, 893 feet later, you all are settling down to a picnic-style table at the back of the front half of the building. There's tea and various other sundry refreshments available for those who are in need. While in the back, you both can't help but notice a very noxious smell of mineral oil. The same sort of mineral oil people use to clean and properly oil their firearms. That combined with the nitrous that's used for the gunpowder and the various other distinctive scents of bullets being made and the like, you are aware as to what this business is. So, you're sitting and talking about?
Dami, thank you so much for coming to help me with my project. Oh my god, you wouldn't understand what Professor Hawkins tried to have us do for mythology and occult. God, he wants us to look into some necromancy rituals. Can't you believe it? Yes, there's some ritual that he wants us to look in for some reason. I don't know what it is. Would you be able to help enlighten me with your skills? I know you took his class before.
Yeah, actually, I've been looking into that. That's kind of what I was actually trying to get some more information when we had met up. So yeah, I'd be glad to help.
I see. I mean, we both have a set of skills, and of course, we both know a lot about occult and mythology. But we could always compare notes and always we just let each other, I don't want to say out loud, but copy our homework.
Oh yeah, definitely. But just so that you know, when I looked at his class last year, I didn't do so great yet. But I only got like a D, so that's why I'm retaking it. But yeah, we can definitely compare notes.
Oh, don't worry about that. That's perfectly fine. I mean, you could always come back to my haven. I have books and a section that might help a little bit. I have some books, textbooks and whatnot. Have you seen anybody else lately?
And that's when I walk in. I think.
Yes. Absolutely so.
I walk in and look around. Well, this is interesting.
Abner, come over here. We were just talking about our homework we had to do for Professor Hawks. You have any input for that?
I give a slow blink, look at you with narrow eyes, and immediately go, isn't he the guy you failed? Hang on, let me think of that again. It was the guy... I remember now. Don't you have an F in his class?
Oh no, honey, I don't have an F in that anymore. He seems to be a little weak around me, if you get what I'm saying.
It's not what I saw on the computer. So what are you here for again?
I'm talking to my friend. We're trying to work on a project looking into mythology and kind of want to see why Professor Hawks wants us to look into some weird witchcraft or something about like New Age, Wicked or paganism. I don't know what it's about. I don't know.
I'm just double checking. We're in a church, right? Out of character.
No, it's a kitchen.
I couldn't hear you.
It's a soup kitchen.
Oh, soup kitchen. Okay, thank you.
Yes, the soup kitchen is the front for the arms dealers in the back.
All right, just double checking. So you decided to come into a soup kitchen to talk about mythology.
Well, of course. Where would you go? There's nothing open out on this side of town. I mean, look at this. This is a lovely place. We have a little bench. There's some food here. I mean, shit, we probably can chill out.
What's that smell? It smells familiar.
Gotta be gun oil.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
God fucking damn it.
Alright, now why are you all actually here?
I'll get close to Abner, whisper in his ear. Read in between the lines. We can't really speak openly about this in front of Kine.
Well, considering that they're far enough away without supernatural hearing, no one would hear you.
Oh, well, just in case. You never know.
Considering that I'm always keeping an eye out for everyone, I would.
Can never be too safe. Oh, by the way, Abner, you have a steak, right? That I could probably borrow really quick.
I have 4 on me right now, why do you ask?
Oh, I just want to borrow it really quick. You know, I just want to look at it to make sure I could find the proper length to.
I'm not giving you one of my steaks.
No, for me to make one. I'm just looking. I just want to take measurements.
I raise a very curious eyebrow.
I just smile. You know, we can't be too careful these nights. Come on. I just need the measurements to understand, you know, how deep do I have to put it in, and how wide. You never know.
Width is not a factor. Anything can really be used as a steak as long as it hits the heart and it's made of wood.
Oh, thanks, Abdo. You've been such a help. But I mean, okay, I guess you whatever.
If you want a steak, here, I hand him a table leg I had on me.
As you say whatever, and you Abner begins to reach under your coat to grab another one of your steaks, in walks David carrying a box that is clearly heavier than it looks.
I immediately keep the steak away.
It always seems like these jobs are wrapped up with you guys. It's
Why
never
do I
a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
10 bells ringing in my head. Danger, danger. Will Robinson.
I quickly give out a quick prayer because Abner is somewhat religious. He says, whatever's about to happen, for the love of God, help me.
Fate has a very interesting sense of humor. There's nothing that fate hasn't decided, including the times where you manage to outwit it and outlast it. Each of your lives is an example of something that should have ended that didn't. And in that same vein, in that same very black, dark humor, certain things become more evident. Each of you are aware that this soup kitchen isn't a normal soup kitchen for various means, for various reasons. Arms dealers are often very good smugglers, hence the reason why Dami knows that this place is an arms market, because he has obtained various apocryphals from various other book dealers outside of the village and outside of the state. Much for the similar reason that where place is a black market gun dealer. They deal in both the ammunition as well as the firearms themselves. Abner is aware that this place is an illegal operation of some decent reputation, because there's none of his criminal sources that will rat this place out. In fact, they do their best to not mention this particular location. And putting 1 and 1 together to get 11, he is aware that this place, soup kitchen or not, community outreach or not, has some nefarious source of income. Where is an arms dealer, because he's holding a package which is filled with various rails, sights, and other less than legal ammunition, such as Teflons and shredders and various others that are designed to mitigate bulletproof vests. Aware as each of you are that this place has an illegal reputation, you are all a little surprised by the eruption of gunfire directly outside and the screams that automatically follow such an action being carried out in public. That combined with the squealing of tires lets you know this is not your average everyday police shooting or average everyday gang shooting. This is something else because the gangs in Dolton know that it's always easier just to walk up on the person and shoot them, especially if they're in a bar or a club. This is something else entirely. This is messy. This is loud. This is very much not Dolton.
That's peculiar.
Lovely. So, hope or get out of here. Your choice.
Yeah, I'm not going out there. You're crazy. You think I'm doing that?
Aren't you kind more of a generous type? Wouldn't it eat you up, Abner?
The fact that you know me annoys me a lot.
Oh God, Abner. It's common sense within all practices to know about your kind. Of course we know about you.
I'm reaching to my coat for a second.
Might be a dumb question, but I feel that I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Your kind?
What?
Your kind?
Not important. Continue on.
So what do you want to do, Abner? It's really up to you. I know your conscience can't really handle it, some things. Do you want to help or do you want to just, I don't know, leave?
We at least see what's going on. If it's one of you guys getting killed, I don't care. If it isn't, then I have to at least incapacitate a few people.
It's always your cat, your bane. Why don't you go?
I'll try to actually scan the area real quick, like outside the scoop kitchen where the fire is coming from.
Moving toward the front of the building, those of you who are doing so, it is obvious that this is a crime scene soon to be closed in and dealt with by the police. On the ground near mid-street is a gentleman who is leaking the last seconds of his life away. On his side, nearly atop him, is his family.
Can I go and stop his bleeding?
Sure, if you want to make sure that the county medical examiner or the city medical examiner has at least enough to get a blood type from him, it will accomplish absolutely nothing. The exsanguination of these people is an already foregone conclusion. There's several mystical things you could do. For instance, offer them your blood to hopefully offset their fading into the next world. But in the distance, there are two late 80s muscle cars, a Riviera and a Monte Carlo, speeding away at just under top speed. Coming from the west are the sounds of sirens. Across the street, further across the street, is the vehicle that this family exited, which is a 1972 Country Squire.
I grab one of the members of the family and say, "Did you see who shot you?"
Kind of dead, Abner.
The young lady that you tried to get a confession or an admission or an eyewitness statement from fades in your arm as you, holding her hand, and feel the coolness of the grave settle across her and begin to crawl up your fingers. It feels as if spirits from the other side are attempting to pull you into the grave that you were spared from.
I lay her down and close her eyes using my hand as I look to one of the living family and ask, "Did you see who shot them?"
There is no living family. This was a family that exited the country square. They were headed clearly to where you all were alighted, either for the soup or for some other reason, and were gunned down like animals.
We got a few seconds before the police get here. Look for clues. Try to figure out what those muscle cars were.
I grabbed the man's keys and his wallet.
We're not. Do I see him stealing the wallet?
That's a good question. Dexterity and stealth, and a wits stealth roll. Dominic Dex and stealth, and David wits and stealth.
Did you say wits and awareness or wits and stealth?
Wits and stealth.
Stealth?
Yes.
Oh, neat. Would my speciality be of any use here?
No. While he's Kindred, you're not sneaking up on him. You're watching warily as he acts to see if you denote or detect what he's actually doing.
Fine. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to fix that.
Did you say for me to roll too?
Oh, and what do you know?
No.
Are there any kids still? Is the family white?
So that's a bestial failure.
It is a family. You will in a split second. You see both Abner and Dami move into action, attempting to tend to the family that sprawled across the middle of the street, that were gunned down heinously by those cars speeding eastbound away from the sirens. What is it that you all are doing? Are you simply standing and watching, or are you getting involved? Are you helping? Are you assisting? Or are you not?
At this point, I see that they're basically dead. I look to the group and say, eyewitnesses, turn on your looks, stand aside like you're shocked. And then I immediately get up and go into a nearby alley to hide from the cops. AK, go onto the roof. Because that is my signature thing.
Can I roll Scent the Beast to try to see if there's any vampires still around that could have been involved?
That typically in a situation like this, when there's clearly an act of crime of this sort, most kindred would not be involved. Most of the community would not be anywhere near this. In fact, most kindred, if they had been in the area, would be fleeing the area at this point.
All right.
Speaking of fleeing the area,
Everett?
I mean, he's pretty sad that. I mean, of course, he was poking fun of Abner, but this kind of hits him kind of hard. Innocent lives have been taken in a drive-by shooting. Some type of animal shot down a perfectly happy family, seems, and Everett kind of looks at them with the final glance and heads into the alleyway.
Abner is leaving, fleeing towards the alley. David is attempting to gather himself and figure out what exactly is taking place, besides the sheer waste of one blood, the waste of life, and the very real evil that this required to do. Dami, what are you doing?
alright. Once I lifted the wallet and the keys, I actually stayed into the alleyway.
So you guys are gonna pretty much all meet in the alley as Abner begins to scrabbling towards the roof. David, what are you doing?
This will follow them. The alley.
Okay, so as everyone makes it to the alley, and the reality of the matter of how each of you are struck by that simple, everyday, dastardly evil varies. It has different mileage, but it is clear to each of you all with any eyes and any awareness, and the fact that David is more attuned to the understandings of his beast, that Abner is not in a good way, not in any shape, semblance, or fact. There is a deep personal connection to a family such as this that he carries. He has an understanding and an appeal towards the Midwestern lifestyle. Husband, wife, man, woman, man. Anyway, a nice, happy family of some sort appeals to him. And that much is obvious because his beast is riding him and barely contained. The sheer waste of human life. The fact that this family's future and all those that might be touched by them has been altered irrevocably.
I'm almost to the roof. I know. Be quiet. I know.
Everyone won't even say anything. He'll just kind of look down. He has a solemn face.
If I manage to get to the roof, I'm going to sit down and watch the crime scene. I'm going to try to listen in on the police as best I can.
Okay.
Gonna find the guy's, look at the guy's driver's license and his keys and look for the address.
Okay. Well, the police arrive on scene and immediately begin roping the area off, immediately calling in backup. It's not just shots fired, it is considerably more. They, having unfortunately due their professions, while not accustomed, are able to harden the facade of their being to make this, while it's sad, just another day, unfortunately. There are no further sirens closing on the area, but there are the onslaught of 6 different police vehicles, an ambulance to cart away the bodies. Actually, there are 3. There are crime scene photographers who are arriving on scene via their personal vehicles or unmarked vehicles. The street and the area becomes a blistering bluster of activity as the police on the scene began canvassing. They began searching for cameras that have a line of sight. They began taking eyewitness statements, and they began going door to door, which means they also visit the soup kitchen, Christian reading room, and black market arms dealers.
Well, after a little bit of that, whenever I see an opportunity, I'm gonna go back into the alleyway, quickly blush up, and act like a scared eyewitness.
Okay. As you exit the roof, Dami, the address, unfortunately, is in Gary.
Oh, great. Gary.
Oh, yes, Gary. The worst of the worst. It is. Imagine if you take Dolton and stretch it until you can just about see through it. That's Gary. The same level of everyday workman, very dyed in the wool, salt of the earth types, stretched as thin as onion skin. So the same community population density, just stretched over a larger area for the most part. And despite what everyone thinks, Gary does have a slightly more affluent area, but it is gated and sealed off and kept and treated like a demilitarized zone as far as the rest of the city is concerned. Because while Dolton is a village, Gary considers itself a city with half the population density at best. The address that's on the gentleman's driver's license is off of 15th and Garfield, near smack dab in the middle of the city.
I ask Everett and David, do they want to go and investigate this or not?
Well, right now, Everett has blessed a life, and he's just crying. No more tears. You know, he'll probably say he's blending in, but it doesn't matter. He's still crying, no matter what.
We can't have some sort of serial shooter around here. I believe we should investigate.
Abner, you're making it off the roof and blushing life as you hear this. What are you all doing? What's your decision? Where are you guys headed?
I didn't hear, so I'm sorry. What was it?
As you hear Dami ask if anyone would like to go investigate.
What do you want to investigate?
I'm going to go ahead and communicate with this guy right here and see, maybe figure out why that happened.
What guy?
I nod my head over towards the body. That guy.
I'm very, very unable to hear you well.
The address from his wallet.
How about now? Any better?
Barely.
How about now?
That's better, kind of.
Now remember, this is an active crime scene. The area is overflowing with police officers and those involved with law enforcement as their daily bread. Attempting to get closer to the body would definitively cause
Alarm.
Everett will kind of look up. I mean, he has tears in his eyes. I mean, we're going into another territory. Is this territory even friendly with ours?
Doesn't matter.
It matters if we want to make it out alive.
No problem. Give me 24-hour business hours. I give them my card. That you can reach me at that number.
I take his card and put it in my wallet. We should at least get out of here, you know.
Do we have any sort of like IDs in this car or cars? Like
This is
out of
currently an
character.
This is currently an active crime scene, so
all right. So, with it being an active crime scene, there's not much chance for you all to investigate further at that location. Dami's handed out his card with his cell number and the means of contact on there. Dami, what is it that you're attempting to have them contact you with a day later?
Well,
What do
what I
you-
was planning on doing was going to Gary, going into the house, using Oblivion to find the better for the guy. And then once I do that, I was going to go home and actually raise and try to call his spirit so that I can talk to him.
To assist with that decision so that you're not necessarily wasting the gas. You know, petroleum is a very valuable asset. Go ahead and roll wits and occult for me, please. Or wits and awareness, whichever one is higher. Well, wits and occult or wits and insight, whichever one is higher. Going to the home in Gary, if it is still their home, would not have any fetters or any ties to this world. They were shot down in the middle of this street, so you would need either something from this scene that their ghost or his ghost or their spirits would be tied to. Fetters are literally a symbol of the unfinished business that the spirit or ghost has. It is a physical representation of their life being cut short or the violent act that caused them loss. Many souls and many spirits, their fetters in fact is the sidewalk or concrete where they were killed. In a situation such as this, with a family man such as that, you are most assured that it is either something in the vehicle or an item of clothing or a connection to one of the other family members that's there at the scene right now. That would be his fetter.
Okay, can I use the oblivion aspect that it lets me find better? Can I use it to see what would stick out?
Yes.
Okay. In the shadows in the alleyway, can I be easily seen?
I'm guessing what someone else might see would be fairly impossible. However, you could also ask for assistance and use your troupe that are around you as distraction or to provide you cover.
Okay. Hey guys, I need you guys to draw the cops away from that area. Just long enough for me to go find something.
I used to be really great at pissing off cops when I was alive. If I can do that.
You don't have to piss him off, David. I could just pretend to. I mean, I'm already crying, but everyone say I could just be a hysterical fan of those. Quiet in the street, have them kind of. I don't know.
All right, with the request stated, what are you guys doing? Let's start in alphabetical order. Abner, you hear that he's looking for something that may be of assistance to find and speak with or accomplish some communication with those people, even though they're on the other side of life now. What's your action?
If that's the case, I basically walk. I don't go into the crime scene. I'm not an idiot. I look to one of the cops and try to start acting like an eyewitness. That's my first thing to do.
Okay. And David, hearing that request and knowing you looking fondly back on your ramshackle youth, what's your action?
I think I'm gonna sneak around long way over to whatever police car is farthest away from the crime scene. If they're already here, and vandalize it to distract them, their eyes pointing farthest away from what we need to do.
Okay. And Everett, hearing that request, seeing that Abner and David are heading out into the street area, what are you choosing to do?
Well, I mean, everyone knows that they're distracting them, and he knows that one of two of the Cody members have some type of skills within a cult, and I'll probably ask Dami if there's some way I can help. Out of character, is there some way I can help with him with this type of thing or no?
To physically assist what he's preparing to do? No. To assist with offering distraction? Yeah. You can always create a larger scene or attract attention away from him, or you can just simply stand guard. You're not sure exactly what it is he's attempting to do.
Well, can I rouse for hidden path?
Yes, you can. We're getting back. We were going to get around to the mechanics of the scene in a second, but just wanted to make sure that everyone had their declared actions out and stated what they were getting ready to do. So, Everett, are you staying at Dami's?
No, I'll follow Abno, and I'm crying loudly. I'm crying loudly to draw attention.
I pat him on the back, kinda to help with the act, but Abner's actually a worse actor than Everett is.
All right. So that being the case, here's what we're going to do in terms of what roles we're going to need. Go ahead and get that rouse roll out for me, David. And while you roll that rouse, Everett and Abner, go ahead and roll manipulation and persuasion. You can either do one of two ways. You can either assist each other or roll individually, and we'll go from there. If you assist each other, whoever has the highest pool will receive a 1 dot to their die pool.
I can confirm 100%. Abner is not the highest.
Okay, so you want to help me then, Abno?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, just adding one die, right?
Yes, sir. And while that's happening, not that anyone can actually see what's taking place, but Dami closes his eyes, exhales slowly, and in the doing, the alley grows a few degrees cooler. When he opens his eyes, the irises and pupils of his eyes have changed color. They are dark and almost completely reflective of the world around him. The color of the world fades away, and you're able to peer into the Shadowlands, Dami. In doing so, you see the gentleman whose wallet you stole kneeling over the bear that his oldest child had with him. It's still in the real world. It's still in the vehicle, but he's wailing and crying, and you have seen enough spirits crossing over to realize he is an angry spirit. There will be pain. His pain will be wreaked upon those in this area nearly ad nauseum until that connection is made, until the entirety of his family is laid to rest, and he's understood that they will meet their just deserts, their rewards for lives lived as innocently as they have. Would you go ahead and roll wits and awareness for me when you get a chance, Dami? And Everett, you are a ghost. You disappear. You are a man of incontrovertible invisibility temporarily. Sneaking the long way around, you move far quicker than one would expect and are at the police car. What is it you're seeking to do? Are you seeking to burst windows, flatten tires, or are you seeking to do something else? Perhaps take it for a spin around the block or 3?
I'm gonna do the good old popping tires, smashing windows, vandalism of. And after, I'm gonna try to run like hell.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And as Abner, you and Everett get closer to the policeman, closest to the further extreme of the crowd of the carnival of activity. Surprisingly, you must give credit where credit is due. Everett is a surprisingly well-appointed actor. You almost believe that the tears are real, that the heartbreak that he's feeling is actual fact, and you lean into it. It's like working with a good stuntman. He makes the scene better. That's exactly what you both do. It is with no doubt that the three officers which begin to close on you think that you are not only eyewitnesses but somehow connected personally to the family that lies there in the street. You get offers for one begins waving over, pointing toward his white shirt. The others are trying to get your names, trying to get your information from you. Who were they? What happened here? Why were you? And as that happens, you all hear the unmistakable sound of gunshot. But it's not a gunshot. It's a tire bursting and a window being shattered.
When the cops are busy listening to that, I quickly whisper to Everett as quietly as I can, "You don't think..."
I scream out, "Eat shit, pigs!" Then I'm nice and ready to chase.
I'm so quiet and hysterical, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, you could have seen it!"
And you hear David's voice ring out over the sound of the hustle and bustle, and you see someone flip a switch. You can literally see the mental mechanics clicking in as their somber mood is replaced with an opportunity to vent their grief in the most physical of manners, and roughly 25 to 35% of the officers start rushing in his direction, including two of the officers who have begun to close and taking your witness statement. David, would you guys go roll dexterity and athletics, or
I'm on a blood surge here so I don't get messed up.
That sounds bad. Real bad.
Oh, it is. And it seems like this, they typically have to swallow back their anger, have to swallow back their rage. They typically have to maintain some semblance of decorum and professionalism. And they very much plan on upholding that and getting the chance to vent their professional grief. It is with no exaggeration that if they are able to get their hands on David, he will meet with several unfortunate accidents. We don't know why he kept falling into the ground nose first repeatedly those 75 times. Luckily for him, his experience of being a miscreant and a misfit helped him with no shortage of grace. He takes off with all due haste and necessary speed. They begin following to hop into cars, separate cars, and begin rushing away from the scene. The officer whose car he's ruined, his face is just overcome. The grief that he's felt upon arriving on scene just pours out of him like a waterfall. Tears and ugly crying, snots. It is a mess. You've never seen a man of law so broken, because it's not just about the car. It is a cathartic release for watching the very evil that men do. What is everyone doing?
There's no cops around me right now, right?
No, there's one officer who tried to stay and get your witness statement, but even she is distracted with the chaos of the scene that David has whipped into a frenzy.
So
I'm debating.
So there's only one cop, or is there multiple cops?
There are still multiple cops on the scene. There's one cop in your immediate area attempting to get your name, your date, how are you connected with the family, and the like.
I kind of whisper to Abner, what do you want to do?
I can make her high.
420 he'll ask.
Do you want me to make her high? It's the closest thing I can do.
Yeah, you do it too, and I'll deal with the other ones.
I'm gonna look injured after this, but it's going to help out in this place. And you know what time it is. This is gonna hurt so badly.
As Abno is doing his thing, I'm gonna move towards all the cops to, distract them still.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. Okay. First rouse. Failure.
Oh, that is not good at all.
While
Plus
they're
side.
having fun, I'm gonna sneak and steal the bear.
Plus
Alright.
side. The difficulty is not that high.
It is not. But the fact that your beast, your other side, your truer, unfettered self draws closer to the surface.
Oh, that part's horrific. Like, oh my god, if everything goes horrifically long, we're all gonna die. But on the plus side, we're not dead yet. God.
I might be.
Oh, you are almost certainly dead. I start bleeding out of my forehead. My eye hasn't been revealed, but the bleeding begins as I look to the woman. And let's see, how does this ability actually? And I begin to imbue her with. Let's see if it rolls. Oh, thank God. Oh, that could have been horrific if it failed.
All right. So, Dami, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll dexterity and stealth? Everett, would you be so kind as to roll charisma and no leverage at this point? You're not attempting to utilize any other thing, any momentary.
Sorry, charisma and what?
And David, it is going to be stealth and athletics because now you're seeking to try to outrun them and their cars.
This is definitely gonna be horrific.
All right. And once David gets his roll out here, we will determine what this scene looks like.
Ooh.
All right. So, fate conspires against you all and laughs as it always does in situations such as this. Abner, you are a monster. You are a thing that shouldn't exist. Right before this young lady's eyes, and as she swoons under the weight of your blood, you remember that failure a little while ago?
Oh no, what happened?
There is madness that can be fostered and jump-started through trauma. Already being in a weakened mental condition with dealing with the fact that this family was gunned down like so much trash, she loses it. She is completely disconnected from this reality. And she draws her gun and starts shooting at the purple rabbits and the vampiric elephants and the flying caterpillars and centipedes that are swarming all over her. The entire time, her mouth large and wide, the grin as bright and big as a rictus smile of the recently dead.
God damn it. And then I immediately, because I know my luck, I immediately attempt to grab her and take the gun away.
Okay. And while this is happening, Everett, you are able to get people's attention focused on you. In doing so, unfortunately, distracts them enough they are further outside of the range of being able to potentially wrestle their fellow officers to the ground peacefully. So they take evasive maneuvers, drawing themselves, preparing to return fire if she doesn't respond. And where she is mentally, she is unable to respond. While a few blocks away, as David hops one fence, cuts through an alley, makes that left, and is surrounded by two cars who are barreling down the street towards him, flashing lights and sound. Knowing that he doesn't have enough time to hop back over because the officer who had actually begun following behind him clearly was also a high school sports star, probably based on how quickly they are able to keep within sight of him, a track star of some sort. There is very little chance without severe levels of violence that David will be able to escape this situation. The easiest way would probably be to jump in front of the car and take the hit and be taken to the hospital or the morgue, as the case might be. But realistically, either way, there's no good decision as they barrel down on him, and the officers in his wake are significantly bent towards violence. In the shooting of the officer who has gone slightly mad, Dami, unfortunately, the only way to get to the car is past her. There is no easy way to do it. There's no sneaky way to do it, as the gunshots are ringing. Would everyone be so kind as to roll one single D10? Not you, David, but Abner, Everett, and Dami.
Tell my non-existent life. Left words. Tell my non-existent wife I love her.
Oh, fate has not had other things planned for you. So you are not the random victim. You actually are just behind Everett in terms of lowest to highest. So, Dami, do you have celerity?
That will be a negative.
All right, that means you don't get a chance to dodge normally, but being as you are Kindred and bullets don't hurt as much as they do hurt, you can, if you choose, attempt to take evasive maneuvers using dexterity and athletics, but you will be minus one die. And while that's happening, Abner, you're seeking to obtain the gun from her, so please go ahead and roll strength and brawl.
Good news, brawl is my non-existent stat, but strength, on the other hand, best stat I have. This is gonna end horrific, by the way.
Oh.
Can't get much worse than it is already. Trust me on that.
1 second. Nope, didn't will. That was a waste of will.
All right, so as these things happen, David, with the cops barreling down on you and the cars closing off your avenue of escape, what is your choice action, knowing that you're pretty much pincered in?
I'm going to try something very stupid. I'm going to try to tank the hit and get over the police cars. Jump over them.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
I'm
Daring.
going to rouse the blood third.
Okay. You're a beast. Is here for this. Go ahead and roll dexterity and athletics. And while that's happening, while you're going to attempt to vault the car to continue on your way. Abner, you go to to free the gun from her very quick and itchy trigger finger. Unfortunately, in doing so, you place yourself directly in the path of one of her shells. So you and Dami, who unfortunately is clipped several times as she's spraying at all of the myriad of fanciful, not quite real to her things, including the fact that there's a zombie in the street trying to eat a teddy bear. That's 1, 3, that's 4. So you all take 4 superficial halved. Unless, of course, you have fortitude to offset that.
I do have 1 die in fortitude.
And which discipline of fortitude do you have?
Unfortunately, it's mental.
That makes you a great person to deal with grief. You could take it. All right, and while that's happening, go ahead and take that 4 half. That should give you 2 health levels. Neither of you guys have taken further damage that we are unaware of, correct?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. There's a foible of follies and a festering wound of madness in this area right now. Everett, you are aware that situations like this tend to compile and compound based on the very ebb and flow of the ley lines in the area, i.e. spiritual interference for the natural ebb and flow of sanity and reality. And that seems to be what's happening here. It seems as if the death of the family has infested the area. As pesky poltergeists and demented dominators of demonic descent circling the area and attempting to wreak. While a few blocks away, the police car and officer chasing David come to a very unfortunate moment. He leaps up and over as the car closes to sideswipe him. Unfortunately, the officers chasing him on foot are not quite so lucky. And they go attempt to take the hood of the car and catch the hood of the car against their shin, sprawling across the car's hood, while David makes it up and over, laughing as the last few vestiges of his high school childhood rear its head. He remembers escaping the security guards for the school. He remembers beating feet across the football field as they could not keep up. He literally left them in the dust. He and his gang of cohorts of ne'er-do-wells laughing the entire time. For a brief split second, he is just as heedlessly happy as he was in those moments previously, in those years long gone by, before the world ended and he became a creature of darkness. And as the scene tumbles and slides sideways, we will pause here for a quick 10 minutes. It's 42 after the hour. We'll be back at 52 after the hour. Thanks, guys.
Epic.
Well, it looks like my substitute.
Well, we're just about a minute out. Anyone else around?
I'm here.
I'm just messing around with the PDF files and pulling the images out.
Yeah, I see.
It's really fun.
Someone has their copy of Cult of Blood Gods, I see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well. And we are 52 after. Besides myself, Everett and Abner. Is anybody else back? Dami, David?
Copy.
I don't know who this copy is, but he sounds like a real nice person.
Someone thinks they're.
I didn't hear you.
I says they're.
Well, you're cutting out a lot.
Yeah, it seems to be Discord taking its pot shots at me. That's okay.
So, what did you try to say? I want to know.
Just
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah.
He's still there, but yeah.
Discord's being a pain in the ass. We'll save the punny reference for later. Hopefully. All right. So, testing. Anyone else can hear me? Do we have any further technological issues? Discord.
I'm back. Sorry.
Hey, Dave. How we doing? All right. So, when we last left, prior to our victuals and various sundry other asides, David had completely vaulted over by using the roof and hood of the car to escape the police on his tail. The officer affected by Abner's very potent ability has taken to shooting down the wabbits from beyond. Everett is crouching and covering from the random spray of bullets as Abner struggles with the young officer firing into the middle distance with all due impetus to end the wascally wabbits abounding in her psyche. Dami, having taken one slug or more, is choosing to do what? Are you going to continue on your path towards the car, or are you going to attempt to take evasive maneuvers and hide behind something?
Well, at this point, which is closer, is it the car or deeper shadow? Because I still need to get to the car.
You do need to get to the car. It's literally a case of either move forward towards the car, you've already been shot, or run back into the shadow. After all, you've already been shot.
Did you hear me?
Not at all.
Alright, I said I'm just gonna go forward, get the bear, and get out of there.
All right, that being the case, go ahead and roll dexterity and athletics. And Abner, you roll your strength and brawl as you're continuing to wrestle with the young officer, trying to remove her firearm from her before both she and you are sprayed by the other officers on the scene. Everett, what is it that you're attempting to do?
This is going to end horrifically for me.
Let me think. So the officers that is on shooting, they'll have the firearms trained at the officer, right?
And they're barking orders for her to drop, to stop, to cease her actions now, to drop the firearm. And unfortunately, she's not cognizant of what it is they're saying. She is lost in her own world, and it's clearly not a very fun one.
Well, I can't really do anything because I'm not really fast, but my voice reaches and I'll just yell to Abner, move the fuck out of the way.
You see Abner getting shot more.
They're gonna, oh fuck, and I'm yelling. Oh, I don't say Abner, but I'm saying, get out of the way! He's shooting you! The officers are gonna Fire!
And David, where are you heading? Now that you've managed to cause the police officers to crash into themselves like something off of a very old
On that
Keystone
note-
Cops.
I'm gonna try to lead them astray as most I possibly can, so I don't lead them back to the coterie.
Okay.
That looks bad, whatever that is. That looks bad.
All right. So, in situations such as this, as is always the case, David, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your stamina and athletics? 3 successes, and you pretty much just outpace them and disappear from sight. And while that's happening a few blocks away, the young officer is clearly in a troubled state. She is clearly lost to the madness of her own mind, and she continues firing. Abner, unfortunately for himself, for the well-being of his deeper, darker self, intercedes on the behalf of most of the innocent bystanders and keeps firm hold over the young lady's firearm as she's squeezing off shots as if she's bought stock in the company. There's never been a point more pressing on Abner's sense of indignant resignation for the firearm industry. Why must they allow guns like this to hold as many shots as they do? And as his leg is perforated with 1 and 2 more shots, and even as a kindred, unliving as you are, having blushed life to get close to people, you are able to feel the true and actual pain of being perforated by shells shot at nearly the speed of sound at close range.
How much damage do I take?
That's the outcome of 2. That makes it 5, halved, and we will, instead of our usual rounding up, we'll round down. That would mean that you will receive 2 total.
All right. Oh boy, this is not fun.
Dami, you make it to the car and retrieve the bear and take off. Unfortunate though Abner is noble and standing in the way of the officer attempting to squeeze her clip empty, she drops the clip out of the gun and begins trying to cycle another in its place. The moment that the clip leaves her gun, what is it that everyone is attempting to do right now?
I immediately, at this point, my sense of justice takes in. I immediately surge my blood and immediately try to rip it out of her hand one final time.
Everett?
I'm gonna try to make the all the officers stand down. Even I'll probably want to somehow get them not to fire at basically at Abner.
And how are you going to attempt to sway the minds of so many officers?
Is there do more of a crying out saying, "There's already been too much bloodshed. Please don't shoot again," type of thing? Would that be like manipulation and persuasion?
That would be an attempt at manipulation and persuasion. You'd be at a negative considering she has proven the ability and inclination to actually fire. So at this point, as much as they try not to act on their training, the fact that there are so many lives at risk, not even just those on the street, but the fact that with the shells moving at roughly 756 miles per second from her firearm, from her sidearm, from her service pistol, the houses in the immediate area, and some of those even outside of the immediate area, are in danger.
Well, I mean, fuck it. Let's go with that.
All right, so go ahead, take away. Nope, we'll leave it. That's fine. I won't give you an additional penalty. We'll just say it is what it is. And Abner.
Let's start with the blood surge. Oh, thank God. Now let's see it fail.
Oh!
Yeah, there's no stopping that messy crit. I'm gonna accidentally rip it out of her hand. Or something worse.
Might rip her hand out with the gun.
That's a messy critical. There is something horrendous about to happen here. Is anyone else in the area to attempt to mitigate it? As Everett begins crying, there's already been enough bloodshed, please!
Can I cover the distance to get back to them?
With those successes, as you hear Everett screaming, there's already been enough bloodshed. Knowing the state of affairs where everyone was emotionally already on edge, what is it that Dami would think to do?
Okay, I'm going to do an insight roll. Is it better to A, try to go back and help Abner? B, just distract the other cops? Or C, just kind of circle back around and maybe I can help him escape after he finishes doing whatever he's doing?
No insight roll needed. In this situation, here's what your military experience would tell you. There's only so long that the training would be able to be staved off. You have an active shooter situation, and while she is wearing the colors of the other officers, i.e. she's in the right uniform, unfortunately she's already proven that she will take lives. The fact that there's a pause in the firing typically means there's only time for a reload. Abner's already put himself beneath everyone else's consideration by the simple fact that he was willing to sacrifice himself for the truth, which means he's going to say that to the very end. Having the experience that you do with your own beast, you know there's only so much and so long that you can be suffering from pain that the beast does not rouse to the surface. Something bloody and deadly is definitely going to happen if there's no one there to further assist and to help mitigate that situation. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Alright, I get back over towards where she is as quickly as possible, and I'm going to try to hopefully disarm her before she reloads.
Okay, so you're going to target the human, or you're going to target Abner?
I'm going to target. I got the strength. Maybe I can get him out of there. I'm going to target Abner and try to get him out of there.
Okay. Would you be so kind as to roll strength and brawl, or strength and athletics if you have anything that a specialty in grappling or otherwise engaging in dodge actions. Any celerity, potence that you have, this would be a good time to mention it.
I do have potent.
Alright, so we'll make that strength and brawl plus potence. All right. So Everett, you've seen some things in your time. You've seen things that don't and shouldn't exist become a reality. You've breached the veil between this world and at least one of the others just outside of it. There are things there that even for a being such as yourself who has been dead as long as you have, gives you the heebie-jeebies, the hairs on the back of your neck raise when thinking of them, let alone having seen them. What horrors you've witnessed are the only thing that insulate you from what you perceive happening now. As Abner, in all due passionate and fervent belief in saving others, the sort of belief that people not only kill for but die for, he snarls between the pain of being shot and the fact that he's leaking vitae lets you know that he is as close to human as a kindred such as yourselves can be. He is feeling every bit of it. He is enjoying that pain as only someone who hates pain can. As she pauses just long enough to drop the clip from her firearm, you see a fire ignite behind the surface of his eyes. His beast moving through him silently and having lulled him into a false sense of security as it prepares to pounce. The horrors that you are prepared to witness are averted, but just barely. Even as Dami wrestles him away, and you can hear the snap of cloth tear as Abner had set all due purpose to make sure that she would not be able to shoot another person. The snap you hear, luckily, and it's sad to say, but luckily in this case is not the entirety of her hand. It is not her shoulder being torn out of socket. It in turn, however, is the shattering of her trigger finger and thumb as the gun hangs from her disjointed and out of socket finger. Her inability to register the pain, the only thing saving that silent scream that you sure would tear not through only through the night but through most people's eardrums. As Dami wrestles Abner into the alley, the other officers pause just long enough to discern not needing to fire as they close in and bombard her and begin looking for Dami and Abner as they are pulled further back into the alley around the corner. What is it that you and David are doing?
I am bleeding out. As soon as we're out of sight of the officers, I immediately turn off blush because I'm tired of bleeding. And then I say, "Eat blood." Shit.
Everett will see them leave to the alleyway, so he'll follow them.
And David, having circled around and led them on a very merry chase, you catch sight of Dami and Abner pulling back into the alley from your distance of a little more than a quarter of a mile, and Everett trailing behind the officers who are closing in on the alley as well. What is it that you're doing?
How many officers are left?
Three. Three are pulling into the alley to look for the person that tried to wrestle one of their officers to the ground, make sure that he's okay. Because at their distance, the only thing they saw was a person being shot and unwilling to give up when most people would have lost.
Right, I'm gonna hunch down and follow slowly so we can pincher these officers off and knock them out non-lethally.
Yeah, because Abner figured out what you did. If you killed an officer, oh boy.
Dami, as you pull Abner away, the effort required is not quite Herculean, but it definitely is in the same stadium, because even pain and it's shutting off the human portion of his deadness, he's a pretty determined individual. You've watched others be shot before. You've been shot before. You know how difficult it is to resist giving in to the pain. He's been shot what looks like 3, 4, maybe 5 times. And he's asking for blood. As you focus in on that and getting away, you realize that you guys are being trailed by 3 officers who call themselves coming to the aid and rescue of someone who rescued quite a few people. But in doing so, there's no way that they would not be able to discern that you're not quite mortal.
I go limp in his arms.
Am I behind the officers?
Yes. You
If
and David.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, if I suspect the officers are coming anywhere near us, I go limp as my blush goes off.
I'm gonna yell out to the officers, "Deal with Toe. I'm a nurse. I'll deal with him."
All right, go ahead. Pro charisma and subterfuge.
Don't the officers also think we're some kind of couple or something?
Yes. Which is the funny part.
Fuck that willpower.
Oh, that was such a waste of a willpower.
Oh god, yeah.
Dummy, David, what are you guys attempting? While this is happening, you see Everett closing. I take care of the lady. I'm a nurse.
I'm gonna try to ever so quietly sneak up behind one and get him in a headlock.
Oh my god, this is such a moment right now.
I'm gonna keep going.
All right. Dave, go ahead and roll your strength and brawl, and you get 1 die bonus, considering that no one notices that you were there. And while that roll is happening, Dami, go ahead and roll your stamina and athletics as you seek further escape. There are several things that shouldn't happen, but it seems as if fate has every inclination of making it happen this evening. Situations like this, with stress running high, adrenaline pumping, several things happen at once, as they tend to do. The officers pause in their forward momentum. One turning, you take care of her, make sure that she's okay. We'll take care of your friend. But you know what? Just help us bring him back. There's an ambulance on the way. We can take care of them. As David drops him mid-conversation, which catches the attention of the other 2 officers, and they turn to find that another of their officers is actually being subdued. Everett, you're not quite sure how David got there as quickly and silently as he did, but he appears as if he's stepping out of the shadows themselves. The officer who you had managed to distract goes down like someone switches a light switch off. Abner, you and Dami will watch as the officer goes down. The other 2 begin to close on David and Everett. In alphabetical order, let's decide what we're doing. Abner?
I go limp. Play dead.
David? He dropped like a light. He is no longer a concern.
Whoever's closest to me, I'll try to go for a sweep to get him off his feet, if possible.
Okay. So that's going to be a dexterity and brawl roll. And while that roll is being made, you see this happen. Dami, are you continuing on your way, moving further a pace of them, or are you going to turn around and attempt to help?
This is gonna go so bad. So bad. Drop Abner and go back and try to help David.
I go down silently as if playing dead.
Everett, again, David appears as if he separates from the shadow near at hand and drops one officer and moves to drop the next. What are you doing?
Mind my own fucking business and head to Abno. The officers seems like they'll handle the real hostile assailant. I think as a nurse, I should help the patient. And I'm gonna head towards the patient.
Okay. Dami, go ahead and roll. How are you seeking to help David as he's attempting to sweep the second of 3 officers?
I go ahead and take the third one. Just give him a forearm across the top of the head, across the forehead.
All right, strength and brawl. And Abner, what's your hunger?
My hunger is at 3 right now. Which is why I'm not healing right now.
All right. My shorthand for most situations like this is just a roll resolve and compulsion. So go ahead, give that a roll as Everett closes on you. And while that's happening, let's see what fate has in store for the officers. All right, so as chaotic as the scene is, it gets worse. The second officer closes. He sees the sweep happening. He goes to jump, and instead of jumping before, he jumps after. He's swept. His feet go up. He tries to force himself to get higher. In doing so, he causes himself to crash with even more velocity into the waiting concrete. His partner, attempting to catch him from hitting the ground, is clubbed as if someone brought a Louisville slugger with them, and he goes tumbling forward, barely missing David as he again crashes into the concrete at their feet. You all have 3 downed officers. You have Abner, who is in a state, and Dami has a caramel-colored teddy bear affixed to his pocket.
Are the cops all down?
They are a pile of barely conscious meat. They are stunned and look for you all.
I look up for a split second like, okay, why did we do... Okay, so we did that... What's that in your hand?
It's a teddy bear. Can we go now?
You see you see the middle of his forehead begin to bleed a little bit more than usual.
I've never had this much excitement in like years, honestly.
You know, if I wasn't dead, I'm pretty sure I'd be having an aneurysm right now.
I would be by Abner, right? And I could probably tell that he's not in good shape.
You can tell he's in absolutely horrible shape. He looks like a victim of a random drive-by shooting. He has holes in places he shouldn't have holes, and try though he might to maintain the human appearance that he has lived in, there is a very real, subtle feralness to his features. You know that it is only a matter, it's not a question of if, but when.
And there's no one around. The officer seems to be preoccupied with concussions.
Yes, they are.
Well, I'm gonna slit my wrist and offer my wrist to Abner.
As soon as you do that, I immediately grab and drink.
Well now, This is going to be a raw composure roll on your part, Everett. You knew it was coming, but it's been a very long time since you've been fed on directly. And your hunger is 3, so that's your target number, Everett. Oh, you all watch magic happen. It rarely does, but feeding is very much the most pleasure that a being can have, save feeding and drinking at the same time. Everett has entered into that nirvana, at least his half of it, as with all due avarice, with all due hungry, ravenous passion, Abner begins draining him. Everett, would you be so kind as to go ahead and give me roll 2 rouse checks for me? And while that's happening, Abner, are you attempting to stop yourself before you enter into very dangerous territory with Everett, or are you going to allow that whispering, non-stop beast in your ear to have its way?
I will attempt to slake 2 hunger, and then I will stop.
Okay.
Maybe later, but not now.
Easy, guys. Get a room.
I'm just over
if,
here like,
if we go into a room, he's not coming out.
Everett's kind of like, ah.
It's considerably more than that. Imagine having the best meal of your life. Imagine having the best moment of your life. Imagine having the most blissful and heavenly sexual experience of your life, all rolled into one, with the defining fact that you know this is the only way for you to survive. This is the only way to live. This is the only way to actually have true feelings, because everything else is a watered down, pale, cooled imitation of those feelings. In this moment, when feeding and being fed upon is the only actual feelings that originate from you. This is a taste of life, even as your life is being drained from you. This blissful moment is such a rarity for a kindred that it is very hard to resist feeding on others because of how blissful it is. This is the other half of that equation. This is a real earnest, born from you feeling, not a remembrance of those feelings. This is the reality. Everything else is a pale imitation.
After I slake enough thirst, I immediately toss him aside because I know he's not going to feel anything for a minute.
Oh no, he's not going to feel anything. And the truth of what you all just witnessed in that moment, David, Donnie, is as close to jealousy that a person can feel. He just had a little sliver of heaven. He just managed to make it across those pearly gates right in front of you.
Hopefully he didn't soil himself.
Everett just high on life right now.
And I immediately roll 3 rouses because I have to. $5 says they all fail. 2 fail. Back at it again. I immediately look back at Everett and slowly begin to reach for him again.
Let's stop him.
Out of character, hoping someone would stop him.
Let's stop him from that.
How long am I out of it?
You only have 1 success. This is going to be a moment. Everything slowly begins to come back into focus. You're slowly coming back to your cold, dead self. And you realize that Abner's there, and there's a little small portion of the remaining humanity, the remaining human you have, that lets you know it is the absolute worst idea to let him touch you, but it's the absolute best idea to let him touch you.
I'll whisper to Abno. Don't worry about it. I won't tell anybody your secret. I know you enjoyed it as much as I did.
I pretend to roll for strangling. Okay, I'm done joking.
As there's something really bad about the fact that he's dead on. That little post clarity that he has is absolutely spot on. He is dead on. That is 100% the truth. It is the guilt-free version of indulging, because they're monsters, so it's okay. But to be called out like that, to have your truth touted out, leaves feelings abounding, leaves thoughts abounding. And as you all summon yourselves with Dami interceding and pulling you further back from him, what are you all doing? David, you witnessed all of this. You gather all together. There's a teddy bear in Dami's pocket. What are you guys doing?
I immediately get up and start heading for the roof, saying, "All right, come up here. We're going up the roof. I'm pretty sure I'm having an aneurysm. Bring that teddy bear." You see Abner actually shake as he says that. With us. Let's talk on the roof. I get on. I start going to the roof.
Is there like a fire escape we can easily climb up?
There's not a fire escape, but again, Dolton's a village, and most of the buildings are no more than 2 stories. This one happens to be 1 story, so with a little assistance, i.e. just sliding a garbage can over, you can easily pull yourself up. The only problem being, it's not quite as silent nor as stealthy as Abner's leap. It is clear that he has practiced such things because he moves with all the silence and speed of a natural-born freerunner. He uses parkour skills that have not quite been given a name yet, and he's suddenly there on the roof.
I just sit down and wait for them to get up here.
Does anyone have an athletics at 0?
Everett does.
Okay, so who's helping Everett? Because it will take him considerably longer and considerably louder.
Can I assist him staying up there at all?
I mean,
Yes.
am I still out of it? So somebody probably has to carry me.
No, you're coming back, but it's one of those things you kind of don't want to. It's like the last night of vacation. As you come back to your cold, dead flesh, you begin to feel and see the world around you through those cold, dead eyes, knowing that the emotions that you feel on a constant nightly basis are pale phantasms of what the real thing should be.
I kind of look up, and I guess I'll see David. I'm like, why am I on the ground?
I don't know what that was, but you decided to give him your blood.
Would you like a night with Everett? I could show you the good times as well, I guess.
Not to pass on that one. We're still kind of being pursued by the police.
Yeah,
Okay.
Can you help me up?
Yeah, man. Take my hand. Help you up.
All right, Abner, Dami, you both have experience with the federal government. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your intelligence and larceny for me, please, or intelligence and academics, whichever is higher.
Can I use my 1 merit instead?
Sure.
Yay! It's better than my other rolls. For the love of God, tell me that's not a bestial.
All right, so, gentlemen, let's start with the 2 successes. Standard operating procedure when operating in a unit is when you have officers down, that everyone reconvene as quickly as possible. So even giving chase, they should have remained in communication with the other officers at the scene. They did not. It has been a few moments. There will definitely be a search party coming. Knowing that, and moving on as we go to the 4 successes, knowing that there are officers down, there have been an active shooting, and their scene is still live, there's no doubt that federal officers or agents in the area will be convening very shortly due to the fact there's an active shooter scene with missing officers, and more going missing by the moment.
My eyes immediately perk up, and then I say, oh shoot.
Is it time to go yet?
Bad. Everyone up here now.
Alright, I'm trying to get him.
Oh, for the love of God. I immediately grab as best I can and yank them up here.
Yeah, I'm like, fucking asshole, pick me up. You took something from me.
I look at you all and say, we have literally a few minutes, if that, before the heads come up. And you know what that means.
Yeah, we need to let them go about the business before we do anything.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said we only have a few minutes before they get here, so we need to either hide until they leave, or we need to get somewhere else.
Well, the roof is the perfect place. People don't look up. I can tell you that now.
True, but helicopters look down.
Fair enough. So come on, I'll show you how to get around. As soon as I can get them up here on the roof, I'm like, what do you eat?
So a few moments later, you guys find yourselves roughly an eighth of a mile further away. There's a small little... Let me properly describe it. Give me one quick second here. Roughly an eighth of a mile away puts you all on a rooftop between Edbrook and I forgot that street name. But anyway, you're roughly about 148th, about an eighth of a mile away, north and east of where you all started. You're hiding on top of a roof of a notable small scale factory that employs a large number of people. They rotate between special needs and the average citizen, the indigent, the poor, the strung out and homeless, and they produce all manner of bric-a-brac and small unnecessary items that you don't feel too bad about tossing away once you pay for it. You can see the train yards on the further northeastern side, and there's, again, this is the village of Dolton. There's train yards coursing through nearly every corner of the village. But here, you are able to sneak into the second story of this particular small-scale factory and have the surety that no one will be here until in the morning, giving you several hours of out-of-sight location to be in. What are you all doing after closing the window behind yourselves?
I'll look to Abno and says, a boon has been paid.
You were still. How long have you been on this?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about giving you a boon. I was gonna give you a boon because you saved my life. Looks like I saved your life, so a boon is paid.
You know,
and you were lucky that I fed you. Last time I checked, you could have been bloodbound, but...
I mean, to be fair, if I had a choice, but you know what, not the point. Why do you have a teddy bear?
Glad you asked. I started working on a ritual.
Oh, it gets bad. There's a similarity between what he begins doing and the small bits of nothing that he's pulling from his pocket, the small bits of dust and the under his breath, sounding almost like a cross between French and Latin chanting that he's doing with this bear that strikes a very big PTSD chill over everyone. The last time you all witnessed a large black man chanting over a non-living body was a nightmare. Abner almost died. The skies opened and spirits from beyond poured in with such frequency and regularity that Everett still sees them when he closes his eyes.
You see Abner instinctively pull out a stake.
I'll move to touch his hand.
You have
Move
5
to touch.
seconds.
Move to touch Dami's hand.
You have 5 seconds to explain.
I'm going to keep a lookout for anyone who can interrupt us.
Am I able to touch Dami's hand?
That's between you and Dami. Dami, why don't you begin your ritual? You see these actions because you haven't managed to actually get it initiated. You're setting up and beginning your chant, beginning the prayer that you were taught to use this. You see all of these things happening. Normally, you wouldn't have to explain anything because normally you'd be with a family member who would understand, but they are not family members. They have not been taught the same as you. Is there anything or everything you would like to say?
Can I tell them what I'm about to do before I start and not break the actual incantation?
Yes.
Okay. I'm about to summon the spirit of the the guy who just got murdered, and we're gonna find out who murdered them. If you guys will turn it down to 4. Right now you're at 11. We need you at 4. I'm about to bring that spirit back so we can find out what happened.
If you open up another abyss, I will kill you.
Oh, get in line, sister.
David tries his best to ignore this and just keep watching each corner of the room, each entrance they've drawn.
And everything's fine, and you all are merely pensively on guard and watching. And then, Dami, you slit your palm and dribble blood onto the teddy bear. And even though the teddy bear doesn't change size, it looks as it does. You're still holding the teddy bear, but you could swear that growing from the teddy bear in its furry state is a semblance of a man roughly 6 feet tall, mid-40s, gray hair, husband to a murdered wife, father to slain children, and angry as only the dead can ever be. Abner, paying close attention, you feel as the room chills. You watch as the bear grows into the shape of the victim that is still lying in the middle of the street because the police haven't concluded their investigation. Everett, you watch as the veil is not torn, but instead a small little portal opens, a small doorway. So there's not the ripping asunder that you all felt previously. And while you're keeping a watch, David, you can't help but feel the temperature in the room drop precipitously. And you hear a rasping, dead voice. It sounds very much like a Kendrick who has not blushed life to cause their lungs to work, but yet is attempting to speak and invest his emotion, but instead of a physical being, it is the emptiness that is the specter, the soul of their father. What do you want?
I know
We're trying to figure out who killed you. I'm
And
sorry,
we-
am I not able to hear him?
No, you're able to hear him. He's very angry.
Okay, just double checking. We're trying to figure out who killed you so we can kill them.
The fucking monsters killed me. Oh,
Could you be a bit more specific? That's a little vague around here.
If I had a guess, the moment he mentions monster, I'm going to give 5 guesses. Do we look like the monsters that killed you?
yes.
I fucking knew it. Guess what? It's you fuckers that did it.
Yes.
Oh, not us. Not us
all-
specifically.
All of them did it. They sent their little. I was bringing news to Mr. Mitchell. He said he'd help us. They called us before we can get a chance to get a gun to protect ourselves.
Do you know who specifically? And I'll send them with blessings to make sure that your afterlife is a little better.
You'll have my blessing to stab him in the heart. Kind of a vampire hunter here. I literally hunt you guys for a living, so
Loco Lobos. The crazy wolves of Gary. They serve the monsters that Mr. Mitchell said he protect us from. They knew we found out about and he's losing consistency. Dami, if you'd be so kind as roll intelligence and oblivion.
is he supposed to be fading in and out?
I honestly don't know.
You can willpower.
Oh my god, that caught me so off guard.
Oh.
1 second, need to beat myself. Sorry.
I'm gonna use willpower here.
Okay, make it happen. Go ahead, click the your button there, and I'll roll for you.
Woo! 1.
Oh god, that's annoying.
All right, so with one success, you know immediately what's happening. There's every spirit that crosses over has not only a connection to this world, i.e. through the fetter, but there's a time limit between when a ghost becomes a spirit, a never living, or at least operating on that same scale. What happened to this particular spirit is that it clearly wasn't bound here by the fetter. It was bound here by a need to do something, a need to feel something. And while ghosts are ghosts and spirits are spirits, there are things that cross between the two definitions. And that are things like poltergeists, angry, vengeful spirits that lose their way, going nearly completely insane. And that's exactly what's happening to this ghost. The fact that he is dead, knows what happened, and knows why it happened, or has an idea why it happened, is driving the very soul of him insane.
What is it that you need? And I will do it.
What's going on? Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. He screams, and his eyes begin to grow larger in size. His pupils begin to bleed through the sclera of his eyes. They're going one solid color, and right now there's a warm, fiery brown. But you know that if he stays here, it will turn black. He will stop being as he is.
I sent him back.
Well, we know what he wants. But Dami, that does not look good. Does that entail danger to this factory?
I
Does
sent
that
him
entail
back
me needing to
immediately.
stab you?
And what was that?
I was saying, does that entail me needing to stab you?
I sent him back.
Explain.
As you're asking him questions, Dominic begins speaking in a pseudo French Latin and banishing him away from here, locking him back outside of the world across the abyss so that being trapped here and his grief will not drive him further insane.
Okay, you have 5 seconds to explain.
Alright. Just so that you know, he's really hurt, obviously. He wasn't having a
He's
good day.
Dead.
Yeah. So I sent him back because he was about to become a poltergeist and start wreaking
Wait, I thought he was already a poltergeist.
No, he was just a spirit.
What's
He was
the
very-
difference? You see Abner actually grab his headband, take it off while rubbing his forehead, reaching in his pocket, covering up his third eye so it can't be seen as he's just like, okay. So, and I pull out a fresh bandage for the headband and position it in a way to start wrapping around my head and like, explain to us like we're complete idiots.
Okay. An angry spirit can be a spirit. A insanely crazy spirit. Think Russian for a spirit. That's a poltergeist.
And that's bad.
Yeah, imagine if you just woke up one night and decided to just give in to your beast, whatever it felt like doing.
That's bad. Alright, I see the problem now.
So, anybody know any lobos of Garrett?
David, just be so kind as to go ahead and roll your intelligence and streetwise. And Everett, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits and insight plus your status?
Got a blood surge out of a very small pool.
Would I automatically know, or do I need to roll something as well?
You would know their activity in Dolton, and it's not anything that you're very happy with. They are an incoming criminal syndicate, and as far as you could tell initially, they didn't seem to be connected with Kindred, but they were making gains by not caring what their actions might befall.
I gave Abner 2 blood,
least-
so that makes me 3 hunger.
No, you successfully roused the blood, so you're not fine. You're not hampered as much as you would be.
Okay.
I look and say, why am I so not surprised that he's a kindred? Seems like every one of the worst of the human race turns out to be monsters. More ways than one.
He being whom?
The leader of the Los Lobos, the gang that is taking over Dolton. Just to paraphrase what Abner would probably say. They're attempting to take over the street level crime, the prostitution. They're bringing in their own prostitutes. They're bringing in their own corner boys. They're bringing in an influx of criminals to an already fairly well-established ecosystem. They're an invasive species. Finding out that they are being backed by Kindred is not a good sign, especially being as it's just another sign that having left the tower, having left the Camarilla, that Dolton is now open season. David, having delivered to Gary, you know a little bit about the Los Lobos. It's not quite clicking because they use so many intermediaries and so many different ones of them. There's some from 15th, there's some from 148th, there's some all over. And Gary, you've made a few runs, but you're a delivery driver. You really don't care about what's what. Just enough to stay out of danger and keep it off of your own shadow. Everett, unfortunately for you, being the social butterfly that you are, you know the unenviable truth behind Los Lobos. The Locos Lobos are backed by a house of Tremere. They use the pain and suffering that the locals engender to have their free reign to find various objects, various places. They use them as the hammer while they operate as the scalpel.
Would I know what house they're from? Like, oh no, it's a species?
Ipsissimus.
Everyone would just yell, fuck! King shit.
I look at him with a narrow eye. What is it?
If you're to deal with them, you would have to deal with my kind in the middle. It's not, and you've seen what I can do, right, Abner and David? I'm not too sure what these type of houses are capable of, since they're not technically a part of Chicago. It's more of a separate house for lowlifes, I guess. Hell,
So
they might
what
not
you're
even.
telling me is that your little... I'm gonna go get some fresh air right now. I'll be right back.
I'll yell Traveler doesn't mean they can do what I can do. It just means that they're capable of doing it.
I step outside and pull out my phone and make a call.
And who are you calling?
I call. I'm going to do it in secret. I'm going to call out a contact of mine in a way. As soon as I can find my sheet where I put the name. Yeah,
Is it okay? I had a question that pertains to Everett. Would I be on good standings with the Chicago Chantry?
No. You're not on bad standing, but you're not a part of the Chantry House.
But I'm a better standing than that other house.
Not as far as the rest of the world is concerned, but yes, House Ipsissimus does have access, like all of your clan, due to the main Chantry House. However, just like having a very sticky-fingered relative, they can come to your house, they can visit, but they're not left in any rooms by themselves.
I'll make a call to the Chantry.
Okay.
And I put the contact I'm calling in thing.
Now, when you call your contact, is there any other information you'd like to share?
1 second.
And Everett, calling Chicago, the main Chantry House, of course, goes into their switchboard system because they use actual hard lines as a means of keeping themselves as safe as possible from their information being collected by anyone else. So is there a particular...
When it goes through, I'll say, Demi the Regent, still know who I am.
Is there a message?
there seems to be a pack of rather messy people that needs to be taken care of. It seems to be a breach within the Chantry realm.
Okay. I'll pass this along. Is this a safe number for you to receive information?
Yes, make sure the regent understands that this is a potent message. It seems that these weather people are very dangerous with letting out secrets.
I understand. I'm showing this number as a South Suburban number, a 708 number. Is this accurate?
Yes. Like I said, still know who I am.
Very well. Thank you so very much.
Thank you too.
David, Dami, as Everett half steps away and makes his call, and as Abner steps outside, is there anything else you all would like to discuss, or is there anything you are discussing, considering that they're on their phones?
So what's up with these poltergeists and spirits? Can they attack us? Or is it scared of them?
Potentially. Hence the reason why I sent it away as quickly as possible. You remember that old movie, Poltergeist?
Yeah. I watched
Yeah.
it.
Think about that.
Did it pull us into the spirit realm like in the movie?
You don't want to go there. Trust me. The thing the movie doesn't tell you is that they really are jealous about the people who are still alive. Or something close to it. So, yeah, you really don't want to go there. Like jealous, rage, sort of anger.
As you all reconvene, and right about that point when he's saying you don't want to go there, and listen to the fact that poltergeists not only are real but could do similarly bad things as is seen on movies. What are you all deciding? There's a choice ahead of you all. You can return a blind eye to the whole entirety of this, including the spirits you know are suffering, the catastrophic damage caused by persons not of Dolton, or you can take active steps to prohibit, preclude, and otherwise harass and harangue people who have brought violence to your homes.
You already know Abner's decision, and you're relishing in that.
Will ever know if Geneva is leaning on people coming in and us taking care of them? Meaning,
the model of the city is a community working together. For as long as you all have existed and survived in Dolton, when things hit the fan, the village acts against it. The village puts out sandbags to stop the river from overflowing the Little Calumet. The village, hand in hand, kindred and kind, have managed to maintain as close to a temporary paradise as they could. When that was no longer the question, unlike any other city in the world, the leaders of the city reached out to the populace. Instead of how, if you were in Chicago, it would be a matter of for the Primogens to decide amongst themselves what course the city was taking. It would fall to Prince Jackson to decide the path forward and how they would be dealing with any other situation. He, of course, puts it publicly to the Primogen, but in truth, it's Prince Jackson who makes those decisions. He uses his social ability to maneuver other Primogen, but it's always his decision. In Washington, D.C., it's the Prince. In Milwaukee, it's the Prince. In Gary, up until recently, it was the Prince. unlike all of those other places, the leaders of Dolton actually do represent the populace. They lead together. They work together because everyone chips in. Everyone does what they can to assist, even if they don't like it.
I'll tell the group. We'll deal with them. Don't worry about it. I already made a call.
Right.
Filthy Tremere thinks they can get away with just murdering people for the hell of it, moving into our land. By the way,
No.
Abner,
Go ahead.
can I have a steak?
Is there a table in this room?
None of wood. They're all the old metal and pressed.
Is there any wood in this room?
You know, always just make them one and bring it to them.
You know what? I just pull out one of
my.
my 4 steaks and hand it to him immediately. Just take it.
Oh my god, thank you, Amno. And I'll take out my dagger, my ceremonial dagger that I keep on myself just for the ritual. And I shave off some shavings and I put it in my hand and I give him the steak back and say, thank you so much, Abno. You've been such an help.
Okay, explain exactly what you just did.
I can't leave all my ritual. It'll protect me.
Okay, let me just put it into simple terms. I don't care what that thing does, but does it affect me in any way?
No, it'll affect me. Don't worry about it.
All right, in that case, I don't care.
And I kind of put the savings in my pocket, all happy, like, yay, I got my savings.
So, David, I saw you using a knife last time that I met you. You're any good with it?
I'm decent with it. Why you at?
Oh, I was just wondering because I saw you on one and I was like, maybe I should get a knife. And I was just thinking about it, so, you know.
And on that considerably askew note, we will draw to a close with the choice of actions before the troupe. You all banded together and were successful in communing with the dead. You all witnessed the ending of innocent mortals' lives. You understand that thus far, Dolton has always pulled for its own, including and not limited to telling the largest, brightest example of a Camarilla city to go fuck itself when they were attacked and set upon without any assistance from that self-same city. So there are choices. There's decisions to be made. There are decisions to come to grips with. There very much is danger afoot. There are too many new faces, too many unaccounted for people with guns and worse coming into the area. And with those thoughts abounding, I want to thank you all for a lovely session. I look forward to seeing you all next week. You all have a nice evening.
GG.
GG.
Always fantastic as usual.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Tell me when
Good
we're
night.
off the record, by the way.